Call to order, Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting, Tuesday, August 26, 6:30 PM. Roll call.
Bill Ikes,
Here.
Kim Gatica here, Supervisor Kermy,
Here.
Bob Dorshevitz,
Here.
Sandy Grove, here, John Stewart,
Here.
not here. We have a quorum.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the agenda, before we approve it, we're going to make some modifications. Item 5 will be removed, which is an employment agreement. And then we will move item 7 and 8, which has to do with the trustee appointment, resignation and appointment. We will move that up to number 2, so that we have at least one person who isn't feeling well and they may have to leave early. So anyway, so I'm requesting a motion to approve the agenda with the 2 changes, deleting 5 and moving 7 and 8 up to number 2.
I move that we approve the agenda, deleting item number 5, making item number 7, item 2, and making item number 8, item 3.
Okay, we'll call vote.
Second.
I think Chuck made the motion and Sandy second.
I think I had to make the
Oh, you
motion.
made the motion, sorry, okay. Second, John, sorry about that. Okay. All right, roll call vote. Bob Dorshevitz,
Yes.
Sandy Grove,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
Mark Clinton, not present. Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Bill Ikes,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes. Motion passes.
Approval of the consent agenda, which the minutes are handed out in hard copy and also were sent out by email. Is that right?
Correct.
The minutes from July 21. They were somewhat condensed from the initial board packet. Is that right? Is that-
Yes, and some corrections were made.
Some corrections.
I have something I would like to say. I was going to address this to Fire Chief Conley, but he's not here. So what I was going to say is that I noted in the monthly report that Fire Station 2 was closed for 81 hours in July, and I'm aware it's also been closed some in August. I sent him an email and requested the total number of hours that the station has been closed so far in August. And I want to state that this brings to mind another issue. It has come to my attention that Mr. Robert McCurdy has requested and received through FOIA a copy of what I believe to be the draft proposal/report from ESCI that this board contracted for last September. That agreement had a timeline of 6 months, which would have been March 2026, an additional 5+ months after that date. We, the board, are still waiting, yet the public has already seen the draft. Can anyone explain to me why this report has been available and not presented to the Board of Trustees for review, consideration, and potential action before this time, and why it is that I, as a board member with fiduciary responsibility, as well as everyone else sitting here, has to learn about this after it's been placed in the hands of a citizen? I'd like to know what the problem is and what we're going to do to fix it, because we have got to straighten out our priorities and do what needs to be done.
We were approving the consent agenda.
Yeah, well, that was my comment to
Okay,
the
all right.
fire chief during the consent agenda, but he's not here, so you guys got to hear it instead.
The schedule is September 22nd for the company to come here and review the results. And that was a draft that should really, technically drafts are not allowed to be FOIA, but
And how long has that been in the hands of our fire chief?
don't know.
Since June or July?
Not the original draft, yes. Well, I don't know whether it was June or July, but anyway,
Anyway, it's not
September 22nd.
It's not acceptable.
Well, I think you'll accept it once you'll see it. All right.
That has nothing to do with it, Supervisor Kermy.
Yes. All right. Approval of the consent agenda.
Did we approve the minutes?
Well, that's part of the minutes, and I called that attention to the new ones.
Yep.
So any other questions on the consent agenda before we approve it?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for the August 25th, 2026 meeting.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Sandy Grove,
Yes.
Don Stewart,
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes. Bill Ikes.
Yes.
Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
yes, and Mark Clinton is not present. Motion passes.
Next item is public comment. You have 3 minutes to talk on anything you want.
I'm Estelle Oliansky. I am the Republican candidate for Senate for Plymouth Township. And I just wanted to let the board know that from the way that I see it, we need to have the empty seat filled by a Republican. The people elected a Republican board, and the first criteria for anyone who wants to be on the board should be that they're a Republican. I have asked people in my neighborhood. No one knew that there was even an open seat. So the communication about open seats did not go out to everybody. There was no e-message. And if you happen to be somebody in the know, you're lucky enough to know there was a seat open. But I don't think that the board did their due diligence in letting township residents know. And if you want to go back because you don't have any Republicans, go back, and I have a copy of that if you need to see it, of the votes that Republicans got. And the next one in line for a seat would be Dan Callahan. It really isn't fair to consider someone who is not of our party, because the people in Plymouth overwhelmingly elected a Republican to be on this board. Thank you.
So are you saying the 4 that are under consideration are not Republicans?
Pardon, well, as far as I know, that's the rumors I've heard, so yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Joe Riley, and I'm asking for your support and your vote to fill the vacant seat on the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees. I believe every decision this board makes should answer 3 questions. Is it fiscally responsible? Is it fair to the residents? And does it protect the character of Plymouth Township? These are the 3 principles that would guide me in every decision I make as a trustee. For the past 7 years, I've been proud to call Green Meadows neighborhood home. Prior to that, I graduated just down the road at Eastern Michigan University. Since then, I've spent more than a decade building my career in operations, financial accountability, and high-stakes negotiations. As the operations director in an automotive industry, I oversee teams and operations across the country. I am also on site each week at the transmission plant down the road, and Michigan Assembly plant in Wayne. I carry full financial accountability for these teams in these operations and lead major contract negotiations with the UAW. This work has taught me how to navigate high-pressure situations, listen carefully, and protect the long-term interest of the organization. Beyond my professional career, I currently serve as a vice chairman on the.
You're out of time. So finish it up. You got
I
5
don't
seconds.
think you
You know
restarted
what?
that.
Did you
I don't think I didn't reset
start it
it.
right? Okay, sorry.
One more minute.
One more minute.
I didn't reset it. I apologize.
Through this service, I have gained firsthand experience in our ordinances, our public processes, and the responsibility of making decisions that directly affect our community's homes and neighborhoods. Lastly, my fiancée Helena is here with us tonight. We are like so many others that live here, a couple who intentionally chose Plymouth Township as a place where we want to build our lives, raise our family, and invest in our future. My goal is to help bridge the generational gap that call this township home, not by changing what makes Plymouth Township special, but by protecting it while preparing responsibly for this future. Thank you for your consideration. I respectfully ask for your support and vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Bassett. I chair the Zoning Board of Appeals with Joe, and I'm here to talk about Joe and encourage you to consider him to fill that empty seat. Sir, can't hear you. I encourage you to consider him to fill that empty seat. My work with him for about a year now has been great. What he said about his understanding of the community and importance of the community and how to deal with the community is very true. He's always very prepared. He always goes to each site and sometimes even talks to people who are there. He's very considerate, very patient with the applicants. It can be very frustrating for them. And they get a little irritated sometimes. It's the nature of what we're doing. But Joe shows leadership, shows the ability to think through problems, consider solutions, consider ways to compromise perhaps to help a property owner. So I've appreciated working with him. He's very good, he's very knowledgeable, he's very patient, he's very dedicated. And I can tell he's fully representing the Zoning Board of Appeals very well. So I would encourage you to consider him for the empty seat. However, I'd be a little upset because I'm losing a good member of my board, but hey, it's good for the township, I guess, same way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jack Dempsey, 42-year resident and taxpayer here in Plymouth Township. And I'm here not to talk about board openings and vacancies, but a particular item as part of the master plan. And I was very encouraged to see coverage of the issue of woodlands and tree canopy. This is a nonpartisan issue. This is a quality of life issue. And pages 34, 35 basically talk about some goals and some proposals for how to, I would say, increase the tree canopy. As development has reduced some aspects of our tree canopy in this township, there have been steps taken, such as the residential tree program, and then this payment in lieu of arrangement with some developments where trees have been contributed or cash has been contributed, so trees could be acquired and planted. But I think this is something that the board, no matter who's on the board, needs to be very cognizant of and supportive of, to take specific steps, real steps. Every time something is considered, a development's considered, there's an issue with open space, an issue with parks, is to think about how one of the distinctive features of this township is its wooded nature. We only have to go next door to another township to see that even though there are subdivisions that have been in existence for 42 years and more, the tree canopy that they have is still very poor. And that's, I think, undercuts the whole idea of the beauty of a community. I really relish the fact that here in this township, we have a lot of trees. We have a lot of tree areas, woodlands. We have Miller Woods. We have all of this. But unless the board consciously looks at this issue every time it comes up and approves the master plan with an awareness that this is something we have to focus on, we will not be in this position 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And we'll look back and say, it's too bad we didn't take steps to make sure that we're going to have this same look, this same quality of life. So I encourage you to be aware of that, and I hope that you will approve the master plan as updated and proposed by the planners, and then work to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Capatina, and I actually serve now on the Wayne County Board of Canvassers. For those of you who don't know what that is, I'm part of a board that actually takes all of the election material after the day of the election, and we review poll books, all of the ballots, the AV ballots, trying to make sure that all of that material is within plus or minus one or two ballots to make sure that things are as they should. And what I came here tonight to do was to congratulate Clerk Gatica on how things went in Plymouth Township. Considering she took this position right before a major primary, which is not an easy task, everything went very, very well. A little glitch in the very beginning with a ballot style, and all things considered, Plymouth Township ended up on the right side as we went through that canvas. It was very smooth. She showed up at trainings, she showed up at the public accuracy test, and she was there downtown at the canvas every single time with a smile on her face. So I wanted to thank you and congratulate you, your team, as well as all of the inspectors that showed up to serve, because we really need you this November. So please consider serving again. And again, thank you, Clerk Gatica.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Any topics? Anyone else? Any topic? Oh, all right.
Good evening. Once again, I did not plan to speak this evening, but after hearing some discussion about some things, I thought I'd speak. I just wanted to address quickly the whole process, if you're allowed to explain it, electing the next trustee, because I think a lot of us have heard a lot of conflicting information. I was told today that via email, I communicated with someone on the board, and they said it wasn't a done deal. However, when you look at the agenda page, it looks like fill in the blank, there's one person already selected. Then the supervisor stated there's 4 people. So how are the people here, or anyone interested, know that this was going on? Can someone answer that today or maybe in the future? Or is that confidential information? Because you stated 4 people.
I didn't say it's 4 people.
I thought you did,
That
okay.
was him. I know we look a little alike, but.
No, you stated that 4 people
better
were under
looking.
consideration. You said that when you sat down. I thought I heard that, and a couple other people.
There's
did
7
too.
that I know of that were
Okay.
that expressed interest.
7.
I'm just
sometime.
curious how you went about finding that people were interested, as I think this woman said here, Elaine, I'm sorry, that people didn't even know that there was a position open. So maybe someone can, one of the board members, fill the public or myself of how you went about this process. I know I was in touch with you and you instructed to contact trustees and explain, your interest, but then I felt like maybe it was a done deal already, or you were selecting somebody else from, I don't know, somewhere else, I don't know. Are you able to answer that or not?
We're not going to talk about
Okay.
that right now.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right,
Next.
let's move on to item number 1 under new business, which is the annual budget presentation from the Western Township Utilities Authority, which there's a great history. It goes back to the 1980s. And
50s,
pardon?
the 50s.
Well, yeah, the early thoughts, right. But Wautua was formed out of necessity because there was a restriction on building in Canton, Plymouth, and Northville townships. And it has resulted in a very efficient operation. It only has 4 employees. And it transports sewage from the 3 townships to Ypsilanti, uphill, literally, to Ypsilanti. And that's where it's processed and put back in the Rouge River at a much cleaner rate than if it was sent to the Great Lakes Water Authority facility in the city of Detroit. So there's a lot of winners: the environment, the residents who are experiencing a substantial savings in sewer costs. All right. Susie,
I don't know if you can shrink that down a little. I noticed it was cutting some of it off.
yeah,
but
it's
it doesn't.
a little,
There we go.
There we go.
That's good.
Yeah, so dating back to the 50s and 60s, the sewer system in southeast Michigan was very inadequate. When it rained, there was more water than what could fit into the pipes. They came up with this super sewer concept, which was to incorporate parts of western Wayne County, western Oakland County, and parts of Washtenaw, including Ypsilanti. Wayne County built the Rouge Valley system in the early 60s. And then, if you want to go to the next one, in the 70s and 80s, Ypsilanti opted out of the super sewer concept. They developed YCUA and built a treatment plant. They originally planned to discharge into the Huron River and Belleville Lake. The EPA, DNR was issuing building moratoriums preventing growth in this area until the issues with the sewer system were dealt with. And the communities associated with the Wayne County system were ordered to pay, it was going to be a $1.4 billion project aimed at ending the sewer overflows. If you want to go to the next one. Originally, Canton, Plymouth, and Northville townships tried to get into the Brownstown Township plant, and they had contributed funds toward the planning. They were told by officials that they were instead being forced to use the Rouge Valley system that Wayne County had built. And ultimately, they filed a lawsuit and ended up winning their planning money back. And the 3 townships started looking into different alternatives for their sewage problems. There was a committee, I think it's on the next slide, that was allocating costs of this huge construction commitment that they needed for that system, and wanted the 3 townships in western Wayne County would bear 2/3 of the incremental costs of the initial expansion of that system when the flows were only totaling around 8%. So the three townships got together and formed WTUA in 1986. And they were looking into the possibility of hooking the three townships into the Ypsilanti plant. It was operating at less than 50% capacity. It was only 4 miles from the Canton Township border. And it allowed our three townships to avoid the huge cost increases that were associated with the Wayne County sewage system. The construction started in the 90s. It was complete in, I believe, 94. So in 8 years, we developed a cost-effective sewage system. We don't actually treat the sewage. We send it to Ypsilanti and it's treated there, but we have saved money and accommodated the growth in this area. We continue to do that. There were further expansions after WTUA was developed. The Lower Rouge expansion project was in the late 2000s, and that was because the initial construction was limited due to funding and because the area was still relatively undeveloped. And then when we finally exited the Wayne County system for good, we ceased sending flows there in 2017. Prior to that, we had been sending some to Wayne County and some to Ypsilanti. We executed the termination agreement with Wayne County in 2020, and the first year after doing that, the three townships combined saved approximately $5 million. So we continue. We haven't kept track of the amount of money that we would have saved in the years after that, but it's a growing number because the infrastructure in the Wayne County system still needs a lot of work. So moving on to our budget. The overall increase on the budget this year is 2.85%. 75 roughly % of our budget is sewage treatment costs that are passed to us directly from YCUA. If you add in the cost of electricity, that becomes about 80% of our budget between electric and sewage treatment. If you go 2 more pages down, it breaks down the sewage treatment costs. So Ypsilanti's rates are up 3.5% this year. When you factor that in with our portion of their debt payment, their industrial pretreatment charges, and there was one other thing, the debt, our contribution to their pension. The overall sewage increase is 3.5. The O&M costs are up 1.3 overall. The budget was already reviewed and passed by Canton Township and Northville Township. The WTUA board actually reviewed it yesterday and passed it contingent upon Plymouth Township's approval tonight. So unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
A budget under 3% is pretty good, considering the amount of inflation that is in the system today. It's a testimony to the efficiency of creative, fiscally conservative people managing operations.
I had one question on the 80% of the cost on electricity. There are solutions that exist, right, to clean and condition electricity coming into facilities, number one, and to use P wave magnetism, number two, to reduce what's consumed, right, in
The
facilities.
80%, so sewage treatment makes up 75%. If you also add in electric with those charges, combined, they're about 80%.
Okay, thank you for that
Yep,
clarification.
you're welcome.
So what you're talking about is an idea to further reduce the 10% of the energy cost
Yeah,
by conditioning it.
sure, correct.
So that means what, making the sine wave as perfect and the voltage as perfect as possible?
It means cleaning the noise that comes on the signal from DT, which is called dirty electricity, right? Power factor is typically less than 100%, right? There's ways to increase it, right? So if you increase your power factor from 90 to 95%, you will use and pay for 5% less electricity. So I'll be happy to reach out and contact you to
That's
share that.
definitely something that we could talk to our director about. I'm an accountant, so that's
Right.
outside of my
Makes her head hurt.
knowledge base.
There was Edison versus Tesla.
Yes,
Yes,
AC
there you go.
versus DC, and turns out Tesla was right, even though they use DC chargers today, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board on this budget? No, then somebody has a motion to, are we going to, do we receive and file, or what? Well, there's a proposed
You
motion.
have to approve it, yeah.
Just have to, yeah.
So somebody can make the motion on page 102 of the packet, F1.
Move that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2026-08-25-56, adopting the 2026-2027 WTUA budget per the recommendations of the WTUA accountant.
Second it. Give a second.
Is that Bill?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, roll call. Bill Ikes,
Yes.
Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes. Sandy Groth,
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
and Mark Clinton is absent.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
The next item, we're jumping to item 7 and pulling it ahead. And this is accepting the resignation of Mark Clinton, trustee. Nothing becomes effective until it's actually accepted, so a letter doesn't, it kicks off the process, but it must be accepted by this board, a majority, and it'll be effective today. So I'm requesting somebody make a motion as shown on page 207, right there on the screen.
I move to, it went up.
F7.
Yeah, I know. I move to, what am I moving to do? I move that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation of Mark Clinton from the Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees effective immediately.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Mark Clinton is absent. Sandy Groth,
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes. John Stewart,
Yes.
Bill Ikes.
Yes.
Majority voting, motion passes.
So item F8, which I'm sure many of you came here to talk about, are here. We are using tonight a process that is one of the recommendations of the Michigan Townships Association. It is completely legal. In fact, it's their preferred way of doing it. And it is essentially the board can take a nomination, somebody seconds it, they can deliberate, and if they have 4 votes, then that person becomes the new trustee. We have used both methods over the years, the soliciting resumes, and this method. Both ways got low performers in the same rate. So I don't expect much change in that past experience. This is, I know, difficult for people. We've had a lot of changes, but interestingly enough, a lot of people want to be on this board. Apparently, it provides some satisfaction to be serving your community and using your skills, kind of like what George Washington did. He left his private sector business and he used those skills to run our government. And that's what we're doing here on a very small scale. Plymouth is not a large community of 28,000 people with a $25 million budget. And those of you who work in the auto industry, $25 million is not very much money, considering what is spent on product development and tooling and machinery in the auto industry. So, but you can take those principles that you learn and use them here. So what I'm going to do is request nominations from the township board, and we will deliberate, or if somebody has a second, we will then vote.
Okay, I would like to say a few words, if I may.
Sure.
So we had, when people approached Chuck or any of us, he said, contact all the trustees and see if you can get a meeting. And I took a meeting with all 4 of the candidates that we considered, and they're all really good candidates. There wasn't one that I said what automatically objected to, so it's a really tough decision. But the one that I settled on was for one reason, and that is that we're in a unprecedented situation. When I leave in January, there will be 4 members of the board. The board will be governed by a majority, none of whom have ever received a single vote in any election in their lifetime. So it's fortunately, so it's not representative of the community, but it is what it is. In addition to that, there'll be potentially 5 members who have never served on an elected board. Sandy's been on the board for 2 years, and she's had a short learning curve because she understood it. But there's a long learning curve, and it's not going to be simple. So I don't think that the candidate that I chose has the support. But I think for those reasons, we should consider appointing Richard LeBlanc because he's been he's held elected positions for 30 years or over 20, including his former state rep and the clerk in Westland. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay.
I just want to say I value what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying because Mr. LeBlanc does have extensive history also as the clerk in Westland, but he has budgetary knowledge and he understands the financial aspect. We are going into a budget for next year, and I think that type of background would be very helpful.
So I'll nominate Richard LeBlanc.
Pardon?
I'll nominate Richard LeBlanc.
So
I'll second it.
so that means now we vote.
Yep.
All right. All right. So roll call,
Richard LeBlanc. Richard LeBlanc.
so roll call vote.
Doesn't matter.
He had an emergency procedure. He texted me about an hour before the meeting, so he had an emergency.
Okay, we're going to start with the roll call vote. Chuck Kermy,
No.
John Stewart,
No.
Kim Gatica, no. Bob Dershowitz,
Yes.
Bill Ikes,
No.
Sandy Groth.
Yes.
Yes, okay. We have 4 noes and 2 yeses. Motion is defeated.
So now we continue to deliberate and nominate people.
So I would like to nominate Joe Riley, and I move that the Board of Trustees appoint Joe Riley to the Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees, filling the vacancy created by the resignation of Mark Clinton for the remainder of his term expiring November 20th, 2028. The appointment shall take effect immediately.
Second, and I call the question.
Okay?
What does that mean?
We don't know what that means.
Well, let's vote.
No, I would like to ask the reasons why. What are your reasons without being, I don't want to be critical of any other candidates, but what is your thought process?
I seconded the motion and I called the question.
I think
It's time to vote.
the supervisors indicated that we could discuss it.
All right, so if somebody wants to say something, they can.
Clerk Gatica, can you tell us why you are nominating Mr. Riley?
So I met with all the individuals that had reached out to me. And as Bob said, they all had positives. But I felt that Joe Riley rose to the top of all the candidates. I'm a firm believer in having generational representation of a board as well as community representation. Joe lives in the east side of the township. We have a majority of our trustees are living on the west side of the township. And so I look at geographic balance as well within the township so that we have a good cross-representation. From a generational perspective, I think it's important that we recognize that we have a lot of experienced individuals on this board and who all bring unique backgrounds, and it's important to recognize that we want to, as Joe said in his comments earlier, to preserve what we value in this township, why many of us moved to this township to raise our families, and also the fact that we also have a lot of young families continuing to move in this community. And so it's important that we engage and have individuals that are representative of our future for this township and have someone that is interested in preserving the things that we all love, but also looking to the future. And so those were some of the things. And then the other last piece that I'll mention is that I've had an opportunity to serve with Joe on the ZBA and was very impressed with how he handled issues of individuals who have bought property and have wanted to, have requested changes in the zoning for their property to be able to build a home for their families. And some of the requests, we would question on the board, but he handled a lot of those questions with integrity and also came up with solutions that was a win-win for the neighborhood and for the individual homeowner or future homeowner, I should say, on the property, as well as for the township and the community as a whole. So I just appreciate his ability to lead as well as to think thoughtfully before taking action and really trying to understand a way to help this community and individuals in this community. So those were the reasons that I am selecting Joe Riley.
Thank you.
So we are bringing people to the board who have some experience elsewhere in the township. Bill Ikes was on the Planning Commission. Joe Riley is on the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals. So we're trying to provide some experience to offset, I know, the concern about not having run in an election before, and elections are brutal and expensive. So that provides some offset that we're trying to take some experience direct experience into account. So any other questions or comments?
Yes. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm not here to debate. A couple months ago, you identified this gentleman. And I'm going to again refer to your word. Inordinate amount of time. The Stewart Bureau of Investigation went into full swing 2 months ago. And I have met with and spoken with Joe Riley at least once a week in the last 2 months. It's my belief, and I said I'm not here to debate. We are a representative democracy. This is a young man who lives south of Ann Arbor Road, east of Maine. Generational. I like to work with young people. I'm thrilled that my 28-year law partner, Wade Myers, finally said it was okay for a scout, an Eagle Scout, to come to a meeting.
Okay.
Because we were being appropriate enough. So, and as a practicing lawyer, I don't have to pay dues next year because I will have practiced 50 years. When you pick a jury, and within 5 minutes, you have to assess whether you like that person or not. And my parents were extremely skilled at that. So we know what's going on here. It's self-evident. I used Chuck Kermey's word. I have spent an inordinate amount of time listening and talking. Now, there were a couple of extremely qualified candidates who came into my office in the last 2 weeks. I enjoyed listening to them. Just fantastic backgrounds. And I truly believe they're purely motivated with public service. The gentleman sitting up front here, Mr. Kronk, is an excellent writer. And I got him to call back his U of D Jesuit training, which is the heart of what I'm talking about.
Call the
And that,
question.
excuse me, it's all about others. This is not about Chuck Kermy, John Stewart, Joe Riley. This is all about serving others. And I truly think that Joe can do that. Joe Riley can do that best. So therefore, I'm asking to go forward with a vote.
So are we ready to vote?
I just want to,
Please stop talking.
I wanted to add 60 seconds if I could, right? Those of us that work in the private sector utilize the skills we already obtained, okay? Utilizing PDC processes from Ford Motor Company, right? From the 4 people that reached out to me, okay, that provided documentation and bios, I met with them. It ranged from an hour and a half to 3.25 hours, right? In one case, it was 2 such meetings, right? So I'm thankful for all 4. We have good, talented people that came forward, and I'm grateful that they want to serve. I truly mean that. Second thing I want to say is Joe has served on the ZBA, okay? The chairperson came here and spoke tonight, okay? The work ethic is there. He went to college by day, he worked at night. He's been an hourly employee, he's been a salary person, he's a leader. He's done it, he has a successful business, right? Very few people can say that, okay? He represents a district in the township that doesn't have representation up here, right? And he's earned it. So that's where I'm at.
All right, are you ready to vote, or?
Yes.
All right, so you're going to do the roll call, right?
Correct, roll call vote. Bill Ikes,
Yes.
Bob Dershowitz,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes. John Stewart,
Yes?
Chuck Kermy,
Yes?
Sandy Groth.
Yes.
All right,
So I'm
Motion passes.
deprived of making my traditional motion of asking for a unanimous yes vote, which I did with Buckley,
That's why we did
and it was
it.
denied, and which I did with
Dan, this is
Ikes,
more.
and I was denied. So on our own initiative, we have unanimously come to compromise and consent.
okay,
I need to swear him in.
congratulations. We'll swear in Joe Riley right now, and he'll be able to come right up here and sit, and he'll be able to vote if he feels that he is knowledgeable enough on the item. Otherwise, he can abstain.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joe Riley,
I, Joe Riley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the laws, ordinances, and policies
and the laws, ordinances, and policies
of the Charter Township of Plymouth.
of the Charter Township of Plymouth.
I will faithfully perform the duties of trustee
I will faithfully perform the duties of trustee
for the Charter Township of Plymouth, Michigan,
for the Charter Township of Plymouth, Michigan,
being ever mindful
being ever mindful
that my service is a reflection
that my service is a reflection
on the Township of Plymouth,
on the Township of Plymouth,
and I will discharge these duties
and I will discharge these duties
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
While they're doing the paperwork, the Boy Scouts, which troop are you with? Which organization is your sponsor? Okay, all right. Because you probably have talked with Bill Ikes. We're looking for some help to paint the letters on the wood play structure. Let's see it.
I didn't hear him volunteer. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
There are 534 of these that need to be stenciled and painted, to be exact, okay? It might take more than the Boy Scouts. I will be meeting with your Scoutmaster tomorrow night, John's neighbor there, right? Wade, and the adult leaders and the seniors and juniors. So we will probably extend this. We want to get this done in early September, right? So we can finish up, get the engineered fiber in on Labor Day, and then seal coat it and be done, right? So this is a project that is progressing quite well.
All right, we'll talk about it also at the end. So now we resume the agenda with what was formerly item 2. It's called the master plan.
With deep respect and gratitude, can we give 60 seconds to the new trustee to introduce, I believe, his spouse and parents, who are also residents of Plymouth Township? And I would like him to, I'm sure he wants to express his gratefulness.
Is that okay?
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
First, I want to thank the members of the board. Thank you for your support, your time over the last several weeks, for your belief in me. I want to thank the township. I look forward to serving the township. I have my fiance, my parents, and my grandfather with me this evening. We are a part of the community and look to continue to be part of the community for a long time. And I want to thank everyone. I look forward to working with you. Please reach out to me on social media, in person, call me. The one way we make the township better is having really, really good communication. And I look to make sure that I'm part of that really good communication going forward. So thank you very much.
All right, good. All right, so let's go to item 2, the master plan. And we have Liz Hart from McKenna here, who's going to tee it up. And we also have some people who did a lot of work on that are in the room that we'll introduce in a bit. And we'll probably also be asking their opinions.
Thank you, Supervisor Kermy. Good evening, trustees. My name's Liz Hart. I'm with McKenna. Before you tonight is the final draft of the updated 2026 Plymouth Township Master Plan for consideration and adoption. This plan represents more than a year of work by the Planning Commission, the Board of Trustees, staff, and the community. The Planning Commission has been actively working on this update since at least 2025 through study sessions, public engagement, and extensive reviews of the plan's goals, strategies, maps, and other sections. At its core, the master plan is the township's long-range policy guide. It helps guide future decisions related to land use, zoning, transportation, infrastructure, natural features, and public investment. Public input was an important part of this process. The township conducted a community-wide survey that received more than 800 responses, held a community open house, multiple public work sessions with the Planning Commission. I believe there were a couple joint discussions with the Planning Commission and Board of Trustees. And some of the key themes we heard included preserving green space, addressing traffic and road concerns, improving pedestrian and bicycle connections, supporting community amenities, and managing future growth in a way that maintains the character of the township. This plan organizes its goals and objectives around 5 broad themes: housing and neighborhoods, mobility and transportation, environmental sustainability, civic and community planning, and economic vitality and fiscal responsibility. It also includes a strategic action plan that outlines how the goals and objectives can be implemented, so the master plan is not just a vision, but a guide for action. Priorities include zoning ordinance modernization, traffic and safety improvements, environmental and tree protection, sidewalk connectivity, neighborhood preservation, and economic reinvestment. Following the required public review period, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on July 15th. At this meeting, the commission received public comments, including 11 comments regarding the Joy and Lily Road area, and then adopted the plan subject to the 5 revisions that I'm going to go through. Those revisions were to 1, change the future land use designation along Northville Road south of M14 to residential medium density. This reflected a recent zoning change up there.
Number 2, add Lily Road to the traffic study in the action plan. 3, identify consent judgment areas on the future land use map. Number 4, add a tree canopy study to the natural resources section and the action plan. And 5, change the Lily and Joy Road west corner, also known as the Spars property, to residential medium density. Those revisions have been completed with one exception, the request to show consent judgment areas on the future land use map. Staff's recommendation is that the consent and judgments, instead of being identified on the future land use map, that they would be better represented on either the existing land use map, the zoning map, or a separate reference map. Consent judgments reflect existing legal or zoning conditions, while the future land use map is intended to show the township's desired long-term land use pattern. Showing both together could create confusion about the township's intended future land use designation. The board can therefore approve the plan as currently presented or approve it with the condition that applicable consent judgment areas be identified on the existing land use map in the plan. Overall, this plan reflects extensive discussion and community input and provides both a long-term vision and practical roadmap for the future decision-making. And I do just want to thank the Planning Commission and the board for all of your hard work on this. This is a plan that was created by you. We only took the information you gave us and put it together, so we are able to implement this. So with that, the updated Plymouth Township Master Plan is before you for consideration and adoption. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
All right, let's start out with acknowledging the great work done by a lot of people in this room. We can start in the back of the room, and if I miss somebody, tell me. Is Dave Ladawick worked on this, on the Planning Commission? Stand up. Our chairman of the Planning Commission, Dennis Cebulski, another planning commissioner who worked on it diligently was Tim Boyd. And on this board, Dan Callahan, Planning Commission. Sandy Groth, who was a representative from the board. Bob Dorshevitz, who was on the Planning Commission. And Bill Ikes. So I can't thank you enough. It was a lot of work. It's as perfect as we think it should be. Maybe there's more things we will discuss. Hopefully this consent judgment thing, I want some clarification on what is the best way to depict that. But I can't thank these people enough for the inordinate amount of time they spent at home and in meetings studying and looking at. There's a lot of Grimbley detail in here. So thank you. So let's hear some comments from people up here, our representatives. We have really three, of what you think. And should we approve this or send it back or what?
I do think it should be approved, okay? That being said, right, there are minor little nits of cleanup, right, that I think can get done in an amendment at a later date, right? But I do know the time, the effort that has gone into it. It is over a year, number one. The data that was provided on the surveys, residents spoke up in spades on the value of trees to the community. So to have a resident like Jack Dempsey come up here and talk about it, God bless you, right? Because two of us are guys that consider trees residents. The taxes they pay as they take our CO2, they hold the carbon and they release the oxygen so we can live and breathe. Thank God the farmers, right, in the township years ago valued trees on the farmland we have. That's why we have trees today from decades of planting, right? That being said, right, the data-driven process, right, the discussion, many planning sessions went in and work sessions, right? I lost track of all of them. But it got hashed, it got rehashed, and it got wrestled over, and the net result here is a lot of work. It's incredible, it's well needed, it's overdue, right? So I was glad to take part in it and work with fellow planning commissioners, both past and present. And I look, continuing forward to look at the work that the committee does with Trustee Groth leading it as a liaison. So thank you to all that worked on it and the residents for providing valuable input.
So any other comments? Otherwise, I will have some questions. Go ahead.
I just want to say that the longstanding members of the Planning Commission really are the ones who did the work. I'm a relatively new member of the commission. But I want to point out that this plan is really very well, I mean, there's a lot of work that's gone into it, but it does remain a fluid document, which means as time goes on in future years, if changes need to be made, we are able to make them. Our approval tonight does not cast everything into stone so that it can't be changed. I just want everyone to know that. And I want to thank all of the members of the Planning Commission and the planning team who've worked so hard to make this happen. And that includes Treasurer Doris Shevitz, who sat on the Planning Commission for quite some time.
I didn't do squat on it, it was them. I was just a pretty face on the board.
Oh, is that why they put me on, to replace you?
Yeah.
So, if you guys are done, anybody else have any comments? Otherwise, I have a question. This method of depicting the consent agreement, for consent agreement it was something that a court or a judge approved, and so it has the force of law. So somebody had a law sued in court, and there was a settlement. So we don't miss these, or is what we're doing the right thing, leaving it off and putting it on the future land use map? Is that what it is? Or
So our recommendation is not to put it on the future land use map, to either put it on the existing land use map, because it would just be identifying that these properties have consent judgments on it, and that
the carryover one? So we would put it on what essentially will be the old?
No,
Oh, okay.
existing land use map shows you how land is being used today in the township. So it would just, consent judgments would just go on that, showing that the land has a consent judgment on it, on the existing land use map. Future land use map shows us what we want to see land to be in the future in terms of zoning. So having consent judgment on the future land use map is kind of a moot point because it's already there. It's not something that we're trying to make it, it's something that's already existing.
So you and the Planning Commission are okay with the plan of what you just described?
The Planning Commission recommended that it go on the future land use map. I, as staff, am presenting to you today saying I recommend that it go on the existing land use map, or we create an internal map for staff and for the community to have access to be put online or something like that. But it also can be on the existing land use map, it'd be in the master plan, it'd be there forever.
So you're saying you're confident it won't be missed in future years?
Yes.
It'll be obvious?
Yes.
Well, we did have a surprise, I think, on Ann Arbor Road with the L Car Wash, where no one knew that it was subject to a court order. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, a repeat of that.
Okay.
The property east of Burger King and the veterinarian. It used to be LA Fitness and Vic Tanny.
Mm-hmm.
And Supervisor Kermy, I think that's an excellent point, and I think you said that we as a planning commission didn't want to do it the way you're suggesting, because we wanted that existing consent agreement information to be out there. So my recommendation is that you do whatever you have to do to make that an accessory or supplemental to this, just so that there's something historically that will show what that situation was, so that if anything comes up in the future, we can't rely on people to remember these things. I think it's important to reveal it like the supervisor suggested.
All right, so we'll go with that recommendation. I have one other question. How do you modify the master plan, let's say 1 year from now? Is that allowed by law?
Yes, it'd be pretty much the same process we took. We would have to open it back up, go do reviews, updates, work sessions if necessary, have another public hearing, public comment period, and then again, go through the planning commission recommendation and approval, and then to you guys.
So we pay you, we have to pay to do that. We pay you $500 an hour to go for that.
Yep, exactly.
All right.
No, they'll just accept what we already paid, right?
All right, is there anything else that we need to do before we vote to I assume, accept.
To approve and adopt the
yeah.
resolution, yes.
And so you people that were on the planning commission that are up here, you can take the lead on what we do next.
I move to approve resolution number 2026-08-25-57 to approve the updated Charter Township of Plymouth Master Plan.
Do we need public input?
No,
Okay.
we don't need this.
Okay.
Public hearings are over.
Is there a second? The motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all right, roll call vote. America, yes. Bill Ikes,
Yes.
Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Sandy Grove,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
Joe Riley.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you for all the work. All right, let's go to what was item 3, which is Gateway Fiber Metro Act. Metro is an acronym for a state law that allows fiber optic and communications in the right-of-ways of the township and the county. So, Kim, you can give us the background on this so that we can tee it up.
So as Chuck said, Metro Act is a state law that allows for access to public right-of-way easement for telecommunications. And Gateway Fiber submitted all the documentation needed for the board to consider. We did have our legal counsel, our interim legal counsel review each of the documents that were provided, and they were satisfied that they met the legal requirements to be considered for today's meeting. I'll turn it over to our attorney if they miss anything.
No, Clerk Annika, you're exactly right. It's Public Act 48 of 2002, which basically establishes a process for the approval of, or regulates right-of-ways for cable and fiber. The law provides that if the applicants submit a fully completed application and the payment, that the board's decision is ministerial in nature. There's no discretion associated with that. And my partner, Attorney Chubb, did review the application and confirmed both for this item and for, I believe, item 4. Both were reviewed and approved by legal, and so it'd be our recommendation that the board approve both of these permits as presented.
Does this mean that these fiber companies, these additional ones are going to be digging in our front yards, like what we're getting with some of the existing fiber companies?
Yes.
So
You could have
everyone we approve is
there's
gonna,
6 to 7 that will be.
they'll have a right to come dig in our yards?
Yes, and laying it on top of each other.
Great.
They have the easement rights. I mean, the easement's available for them to
Right.
use the easement, right?
And you said we really don't have a choice in this.
No,
It's just
It's
administrative.
administrative.
it's
correct.
administrative function, correct?
So it's kind of a we shall issue the permit.
So just be prepared for more flags and more construction on your streets and more people.
And we do have a representative from Gateway if any of the board members have specific questions. I just
I'd
wanted
like
to
them
point
at
that
least
out.
to come to the podium, introduce themselves, tell them a little bit about what their business plan is here in the Plymouth and Western Wayne County area.
Good evening. My name is Derek Leffert. I head up government affairs for Gateway Fiber nationwide. Our plan here in Plymouth is, as you might imagine, is to install as much as we possibly can, although Gateway takes a little bit different approach than maybe some of the other fiber optic companies that you might see. So Gateway was originally started to serve a town of 300 people in the middle of nowhere in Missouri. It was founded by a gentleman that lives in a town of 400 people. And that mindset, that local investment, local collaboration philosophy still permeates our business today. We do not overbuild other fiber providers. So there was a comment made that was specific to, laying fiber on top of other fiber. That's not a good business case for us. It's not good for the residents. It's not good for the community. So we typically try to avoid that if at all possible. In terms of our communication and our construction processes, we are very committed to be very transparent and working with the residents of the community in a variety of different ways. So number one, before we go into a community, we'll start pretty substantial outreach efforts and initiatives. So we'll do geo-targeted ads on social media. We will hold various different like neighborhood events, work with neighborhood associations, come in, we'll bring an ice cream truck or something in, or a snow cone truck or something into neighborhood associations to just kind of talk about the project, what it entails, what's involved in it, answer questions that folks might have. And then, we also, in advance of us beginning construction, we'll go out, we'll put door hangers on all of the doors in the neighborhoods. We will work with the township if you have mechanisms to communicate to the residents where, we're not asking for a free advertisement. We're just saying, hey, this is us. We're coming into town. If you have questions, this is not a city project. This is not a township project. This is a private project. So if you have any questions or concerns, rather than, bombard you guys with them, we would encourage them to direct them to us. So those are just some of the communication things that we do in advance of the construction actually beginning. In terms of our process, the fiber optic installation process, as you might imagine, or any utility project could be disruptive, is disruptive. But our goal is to minimize that disruption as much as possible. You are going to see people in your yards. They're going to dig holes. But our goal is to restore that to as good or better condition than it was in when we got there. The reason for that, and this is one of the reasons why we're a little bit unique, we take this view that every potential home that we go past is a potential customer for us. So if we destroy someone's yard, if we have a bad experience with someone in the community, that not only is going to not allow us to get them as a customer, but it also could have some public relations effects on us that we don't want. And so I think if you talk to any of the communities that we've begun investing in here in the Michigan market, I think that you'll see that we're a little bit different than what those other companies might be. So I say all this to say Gateway Fiber is very much interested in working here in the community, collaborating with you guys to ensure a smooth process. Again, it's a disruptive process, but hopefully that disruption is very, very temporary. I will give you my personal cell phone number and email address, and if you guys have any constituent questions, concerns, anything of that nature, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. If there is an issue that's not being resolved satisfactorily, I would welcome you that they can reach out to our resolution team. There's a couple of people that we have on our resolution team that just deal with complaints where they monitor this and address it. But you guys are welcome to reach out to me directly as well. In terms of our plan, on our original plan set, I think we had just over 1 million feet of fiber that we were planning to install here in the community. So that's about 100 and some odd miles of roadway footage that we would be putting in. I know that, this isn't a huge community, but it's big enough that there's a lot of opportunity out here for us. And so I know that we'll be working in tandem, probably with the other providers, as you guys have mentioned, but our intent would not be to overbuild those other providers. So happy to answer any questions that you guys have, but to look forward to working with you guys and serving the residents here in this community. Oh, real quickly on pricing, well, that's one of the things that is crucial for us to communicate. Our pricing is very, very fair, transparent. We don't do contracts. We don't do, it's this rate for this long and then, whatever it is after that. So our pricing, it's $65 for 600 meg service, $75 for 1 gig service, and $90 for 2 gig service. And that's all you're going to pay. It's not $65 plus this tax, plus this fee, plus this, plus that. There's no installation charges. There's no charges if we have to come out, if you have an issue in the home. That you're not getting internet correctly or just not getting the speed that you're supposed to get, we're not going to charge you to come out and do a service fee or something like that. So the $65 a month is all you pay, and you can cancel that a month after you have it installed if you'd like. We're very confident in the service we provide, and are very confident that the residents will continue to choose to use our product.
So you're providing the connectivity only, right? No content?
Correct, yes. So we don't provide like any streaming services or anything like that. It's strictly internet service that allows you to connect to those options, yes.
Do you offer Wi-Fi in the home, or you terminate at the entry point into the home, and then it's up to the consumer to do what they want to do with it?
No, so we do provide a router as part of the package. Now, if you have that single router is enough to cover most homes, but if you have, a home that's fairly expansive or laid out kind of weird, and you got kind of, some additional issues where, signal may not be getting through, then we could provide additional routers. Now, there is a $5 fee per month per additional router that you have, but we would bring the fiber into the ONT, which is essentially the modem or the router, and that serves as the router, the Wi-Fi connection, if you will, for the people or for the devices inside the home.
What are the upload speeds? You mentioned the download speeds?
That's symmetrical because it's fiber. It's symmetrical. So if you get 1 gig service, it's going to be 1 gig up, 1 gig down. Latency is very, very low. We are actually in the top 10 of speeds nationwide of internet service providers nationwide.
I could build my own data center in my basement.
I won't wade into the data center conversation. We certainly we focus on residential. We do offer services to business and commercial services, but we do not. We're not looking at the large scale stuff where let's get data centers or things like that. We're focused on the residents and the small to medium sized businesses.
So any more questions from the board? I'll have some at the end.
I have one question. I noticed that this is for a period, a 5-year term. What happens at the end of 5 years? Do they have to reapply and go through the process again, and you confirm insurance and all of those type of things? Is it basically just a start over?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay.
I had one question. Looking at page 160 of 209, the map here, it looks like it's 90% west of Sheldon Road, and you pick up a little bit of Lake Point Township, right, up in the northeast section. Is that accurate?
I'll be completely transparent with you. That is what our engineers provided. So I would have to look at that and confirm that that's still accurate. I would imagine that it is. Keep in mind that map will change if there are other providers that are serving a particular area that's already been defined for us. Again, we don't want to go in and overbuild those fiber providers, and they probably don't want to come in and overbuild us either. So that map could change, but it actually will change depending on our success. What we like to do is continue to build on and bolt on markets. So where we would start, and I'm not exactly certain where the central office is going to be located at this point. So the central office, it's not like an office building. It's basically a hub. It's like a refrigerator sized box that is kind of the central hub that we serve everything out of. So all of the lines come into that and go out of that. So we start there, we spider out from there, and then as we have continued success, which we anticipate, then we'll continue to build on more and more markets. So in terms of specificity as it relates to the map that you have in front of you, I would need to get probably updates from our engineering folks, but my Plymouth Township geography is rather limited. If you couldn't tell by my accent, I'm from Missouri, and my Michigan geography is rather limited.
It's okay. The pain is there'll be trenches dug. Okay, the gain is there could be more competition. It gives you choice that could drop cost to our residents. So that's how I see this.
So generally, you will not be overlaying. If someone else has already entered the market in that neighborhood, you are not generally going to install. So it's a race for time, the first one to get to a street.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, and so there's a couple different reasons for that. Number one, it's not a good business case, right? If we can't pick up most of that street, it's probably not going to be, I shouldn't say it's not going to be worth the investment, but we would be competing with more than just the incumbent provider. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But On top of that, above and beyond that, it is the, the fact that we don't want to go in and disrupt the residents a second time. But we certainly, if we have to cross somebody to get somewhere else, to route somewhere else, we would in those circumstances. But if you're asking, like, if a neighborhood's built, will we go back in there and build on top of those? The answer is most likely, absolutely not.
So 2 operational questions. We have a 8-person Department of Public Works. And some of the fiber companies have offered and are doing the marking of our utilities.
Okay?
So that we don't, because we can't keep up with getting 2,000 marking requests all at once.
Sure.
So I want you to consider that, where you would mark through the Mystic system. It's working really well with the GIS, and mark our sewer and water, so that our people don't have to be diverted away from solving sewer and water problems to be painting lines on grass, and putting flags out.
Sure. So as part of our efforts to collaborate with the towns that we're working in, the cities we're working in, we want to do it at the pace that's comfortable for the town, for the community, right? So we don't want to come in and overwhelm your resources, whether that's locating resources, permitting resources, whatever other resources that you have that might be taxed. We certainly don't, we don't want to overwhelm those. And that's, I think, what you'll find if you talk to other communities that we serve in. So along those lines, is there an appetite for us to, help locate your lines so that it would permit us, quicker deployment? Absolutely. But again,
I think some of them are using an outside contractor to do that.
yeah, that's fairly typical. The the underground utility locating is for the most part outsourced to third-party firms, and we generally kind of mark a lot of our own, but we also use in some markets we use third-party locators, and I'd be happy to take that back to our construction team and have that conversation with them.
So one of the requests is that you give us, maybe we already have it, the list of contacts for when a resident has an issue. Because what's been happening is I've been inundated on some days with these complaints that their lawn hasn't been restored, or they put a hole in the sprinkling system. And it's just a huge time eater for me. So having the right contacts so that we can direct the homeowner to that.
Sure.
They oftentimes think that it's a township project, and it's not.
Right.
And we don't have any leverage over you, really. You have to be self-policing to ensure that you're doing a good job in restoration. Restoration seems to be a big one. The kind of grass seed, but also for the residents, they need to be told they need to water it. That's one reason why the restoration, the largest single reason it fails, no water.
Yeah, and, to that point, so the biggest challenge that we have, a lot of times, so we do want to restore stuff to as good as or better condition. There are circumstances or situations where, in July or August, when it's been super hot, it hasn't rained for a long time, it would really do us no good to go throw seed or sod down.
Right.
But we commit to and promise to get to that as quickly as possible. To your the first part of that, when we put that door hanger on their door, there's a QR code that they can scan, and it takes them to a website that talks about our construction processes, what to expect, what they're going to see out there, but it also gives them a link if they have any particular issues to report or any concerns. And usually our SLAs on that, I think, those are reviewed within probably an hour to 2 hours of submission, and we usually have somebody on it right away within 24 hours. So we take great pride in that, and we'll continue to do that as part of this project, and invite you, if you have any particular concerns that aren't being addressed, you're welcome to reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to make sure it gets resolved.
So we have those contacts, or you're going to send them into us?
I think the contacts that you have in the application are probably maybe some construction folks or engineering folks that you would be working with permitting on. I'm happy to give you my contact information.
Yeah, I appreciate you leaving your card here if you have it.
I'm not the brightest bulb in the drawer, so I didn't bring any business cards with me. But
I'll give you mine.
yeah, and I'm happy to send my contact info, and I think Kim has it as well. You're welcome to forward that. It has my email address and my cell number in it. So you guys are more than welcome to email or.
It's on page 165 in our deck.
Okay, there you go.
165 out of 209.
What is the proposed start date in Plymouth Township?
As soon as possible. I think.
So in the next 60 days?
Our level, yeah, I think we would want to start probably even sooner than that. We can throw a lot of resources at it really, really quickly. But again, we want to make sure that we're respecting your timelines and your resources and not getting ahead of ourselves in terms of, getting out there and getting shovels in the ground.
Can you work with frozen ground or you'd rather not?
They can. Oftentimes there's a moratorium as it relates to that in certain areas, but we can. So the overwhelming, when I say overwhelming, I mean 90 plus, maybe even 95+% of this will be directionally drilled. So if it's not extraordinarily hard, then they can still probably get through it. But when it gets to kind of a freeze point, there will be a point where they probably stop. If they can't get their crews out, because they use water to pothole these areas. So when we say pothole, there's a marking on the ground, a utility marking that indicates that there's an underground utility present. We will pothole that. Our contractors will pothole that. And so they'll bring out basically a vacuum excavation unit, a truck or a unit on a trailer, and they'll use water to hydrojet around that area, and then they'll vacuum that out so they can see the utility as the drill goes through, and just to make sure that they're not going to hit the utility. So that's kind of the process that they go through. That gets more complicated when the ground gets frozen, but that's kind of the process that we go through for that.
Because we only have 2 seasons here, hot and cold.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that completely. So, yeah, that's kind of the process that we use. But, I'm happy to, send you a kind of a link that shows you a video of how that works.
You mentioned that you got like a QR code that people will be able to scan. Is that something that we can also put on the township website?
Yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah, I guess
What we have been doing is putting the contact emails and phone numbers for their competitors of late. And it has helped a little, but we have to direct people. The place to bring your complaints is our DPW desk on the second floor of this building. There are 2 people there that field a lot of these complaints and then essentially direct them to this website or to these, give them their phone numbers. Some people who are not using any type of computer, there's a phone, that kind of a thing, so.
Great.
There will also be I forgot to mention it, but we have a project manager here on site. Our headquarters is just outside of St. Louis, Missouri, but we have project managers that are here on site. Michigan is a relatively new market for us, but he is, out here managing all these various different projects that are going on. So I'm happy to provide his contact info as well.
All right, any more questions? All right, we ready for?
Motion, yes. I'd like to make a motion if I could. I'd like to move to approve resolution number 2026-08-25-58 to grant the Metro Act permit application submitted by Gateway Fiber for a term of 5 years, subject to final approval by the township attorney of the certificate of insurance and performance bond.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Joe Riley,
Yes.
Bill Ikes.
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Sandy Groth,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
and Kim Gatica, yes. Motion passes.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right, here's my card, you can take it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, next item is another fiber license. This company is essentially a name change. They were approved years ago. So Kim will take us through that.
So essentially this, as Chuck said, it's a name change. So that's why we have to approve an amendment to the existing contract. Is that okay? Any questions?
Is anybody here from ZAO? Z-A-O? A-Y-O.
Zayo?
Zayo?
So they did reach out to me and said that they weren't gonna be able to make it. I did ask if they could bring somebody else or have somebody else, but I didn't hear back, so.
Formerly, the names were what?
They were Crown Castle and then,
Castle, yeah.
I think that was
Fiber Asset.
Fiber Asset and then Crown Castle originally, so.
AC's Crown Castle.
Okay. Any comments? Otherwise, we can have a motion. Nope.
No.
Are
Okay.
we ready for a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 2026-08-25-59 to grant the Metro Act permit application submitted by Fiber Asset Company LLC DBA Zayo for a term of 5 years, subject to final approval by the Township Attorney of the Certificate of Insurance and Performance Bond.
Second?
Joe, second, okay. Roll call vote. Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Joe Riley,
Yes.
Bill Ikes,
Yes.
Rob Dorchevitz,
Yes.
Sandy Grove,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
Kim Gatica, yes, motion passes.
Next item is shown as 6, which is the Public Act 152, Healthcare Compliance Election. This, our attorney will give us some more background, but this law was passed during the Snyder administration, and it allows government to pass on some of the premium costs and tells how it's allocated, usually 80-20, or hard cap, or opt out. For example, Watua, who has so few employees, they opt out. And we should be doing this every year. Our healthcare costs are rising beginning September 1 by over 20%, which is a huge expenditure. So this is something we keep an eye on, and we will longer term be doing everything we can to continue to provide good benefits, but it is starting to strain governments throughout the state of Michigan. A lot of northern Michigan communities last year even started having to make budget changes for public services, for example, leasing vehicles instead of buying them for allocation of money or capital. So John Clark, our township attorney, will give us just a real quick overview. And
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, thank you. So as the supervisor indicated, this law was passed in 2011 by Governor Snyder. In essence, what it did was it took employee cost-sharing obligations for healthcare, made it from a mandatory subject of bargaining to a permissive subject, which means that the township ultimately has control over what its employees pay for healthcare. And it applies to all public employees, and it's really an all or nothing decision. We can't say, well, the firefighters will pay this and the police officers will pay that. So the decision tonight affects all township employees, both unionized and non-unionized. One of the options is referred to as 80-20, where the employees pay 20% of the premium, annual premium for provided health insurance. Through prior administrations, the employees agreed in their union contracts to pay the 20%. So it's already part of their existing contracts. And so tonight, it would be our recommendation that the board approve the 80-20 option. That will make sure that what the employees pay is consistent. The nice thing is that this is an annual obligation. So a year from now, we may decide to go to the hard cap or to opt out completely, depending on the market and the availability of health insurance. But tonight, it's our recommendation that the board approve the 80-20 option, and we have a resolution to that effect in the packet.
What is really the point of this if there's an opt-out? You can do 80-20, you can do hard cap, or you don't have to do anything. You can pay 100% of the premium if you choose.
Well, no, what happens on the opt-out, Mr. Treasurer, is that the union contract at that point would control. So in the past, I've had, for example, I have had contracts where the employees had agreed to pay 10%. of provided health insurance. And so the board or council at that point decided that was fair or sufficient. And so they opted out of the act. Now, to opt out, you have to have a supermajority. So it takes 5 votes on a township board to opt out, whereas the 80-20 option is a simple majority of 4 votes.
And that's what's currently in place.
Correct. That's for all 6 bargaining groups and for all non-union staff. That's been in place now for some time.
Are those pretty recent contracts?
Well, the contracts are staggered. For example, the Teamster contract is up at the end of this year. So with the guidance of the supervisor, we are looking to make some amendments to the healthcare provisions to set a pattern for the other bargaining groups. I believe the police or fire contract, one of them don't expire until the end of 2029. So they are staggered.
Pretty new.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're typically 3-year terms, some are 4-year terms. So we don't have contracts coming on all at the same time.
So I move to approve resolution number 2026-08-25-60, adopting the 80% employer, 20% employee healthcare premium sharing option under Public Act 152 of 2011 for the medical benefit plan year as presented.
Second.
Was it Joe or Bill? Sorry.
Bill.
Thanks. Okay, roll call vote. Kim Gatica, yes. Chuck Kermy,
Yes.
Joe Riley,
Yes.
Sandy Grove,
Yes.
Bob Dorchevitz,
Yes.
John Stewart,
Yes.
Bill Ikes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we've finished our business. Now we have public comments on any items. You have 3 minutes. Make sure to avoid the hassle of trying to do a Where's Waldo of figuring out a person's name. Write your name down on the list as clearly as possible.
So they can read it for the minutes.
Thank you.
All right, well, hey, good evening, everyone, my fellow residents, the Board of Trustees. My name is Ben Kronk. I live on Garland over by 5 Mile and Northville Road. And I'm speaking here tonight as one of the fortunate individuals who was a finalist for the opening of the Board of Trustees. And so being given that opportunity was really unique because most residents obviously don't get the opportunity to have a direct conversation with the leaders of our township. And what I can say is that I know for a fact that each of our township leaders cares deeply about our community. And I'd also like to thank each of our township leaders for meeting with me personally and considering my application. So Trustee Groth, Trustee Stewart, and thank you very much for your kind words earlier this evening. Clerk Gatica, Supervisor Kermy, Treasurer Dorchevitz, Supervisor Ikes, and my congratulations to the newest trustee, Mr. Riley.
Thank you.
My thanks to each and every one of you for allowing me to, be involved in the process, and really just become even a greater part of this outstanding community that we have. And I think that I don't want to speak on behalf of our leaders or our residents, but I think that we here in the township, we really want certain things to be kept low. Like taxes, crime, and traffic. And certain things, to be kept high, like property values, like quality of life, like economic vitality. And other things we don't really need in the community, like data centers, unless we're talking about Treasurer Doroshevitz's basement over here. Or, another thing we don't need, another thing we do need would be, extra funding from sources like grants or legislative spending items provided by the state government. And so, when you think about all these things that we here in the township that we want, that we need to be kept low, to be kept high, it's just really simple and true American values. And I think that's what's being represented here tonight, is not everybody agreed with the process and not everybody liked the outcome, like me, for instance. But what I can say is that I'm proud to be part of this process. I'm proud to be part of the system, and just really proud be part of America on a night like tonight. So my thanks to everyone here, my thanks to my fellow residents, and I hope everybody has a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, he's going to sit down. Clint, can you hear him in the back of the room? Yes. Clearly? Yes. All right. The mics are working. They have a pretty big cone. It's good.
Hi, everybody. Mike Tavarozzi. I just had quick questions after the fiber agenda items. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see the map on the packet.
Yeah.
And I don't know like what each company, where they're going to be in the township and what's going to be available. Do we have that at all? Do you know?
I didn't.
We don't have it from each company. This company did put it on page 160.
165.
165?
160,
And it was
sorry.
all west of Sheldon.
Right.
The company Ripple and Easy Fiber
Okay,
have been
Easy-
doing a tremendous amount in the east end of the township, especially in this area.
'Cause I know Easy's already advertising over by me, so I knew they were.
So they must be considering moving into your area next.
So that was my point is, how do we know which companies are going to be in which neighborhoods? Because it sounded like we wanted competition,
There it
but
is.
then the other guy was saying he's not going to overlay where other companies are. So how are we going to have competition when they're not going to be in the same neighborhood? I don't get that.
Good question.
Well, my judgment is somebody will overlay. If there's 6 or 7 companies, there probably will be some duplication. But for them, it appears to be strictly a business decision. I know Easy Fiber has also said that they are not generally going to go into an area that already has service because they cannot make a reasonable profit to make the effort.
So it sounds like they don't want competition, I guess. So I don't understand how we're going to get better pricing if they're not going to be fighting each other, right?
I think it's better competition against Comcast and WOW than the other fiber companies.
Okay. Another question I had was, you said something about the fire report coming out on the 22nd?
That's when the consultant will be here in person
Oh, okay.
to
Then it's
present the results.
going to come out after that?
No, they're coming out on September 22nd.
Right. Is there like an ETA for when the report might be out or
For when what?
for when the report will
board
be
packet?
available
We will issue it with the board packet on that date.
on that date? Okay.
It's not done yet. They're still working on it.
All right. I'm just looking for a date. And then the final thing was, item 5. Was there a reason why that was pulled tonight?
Yes, we have some issues that we have to discuss in closed session, and we will do that. We're seeking a candidate who is highly qualified. We want to make sure it's fair to him and Plymouth Township.
Okay. Thanks.
Can I comment on that as well, because I was going to ask the same question.
Sure.
We have a new board member. For next steps, we're going to meet again on this issue.
We'll meet in closed session with the attorney, and we'll decide. It's possible we could do it on Tuesday, September 1st, or we wait till September 10th when we have a board meeting.
Okay, this position is a gaping hole currently in my staff that is causing Lieutenant Krebs and myself to work
A lot of
an
extra
extraordinary
hours.
amount of hours. It's been a 5-month process. We have a candidate who is going to be watching this. I also have a staff that I have to go back to. So I appreciate you clarifying that. I was going to ask the same question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we worked very hard on this, and we're going to continue working it so that we get the best candidate that we've identified with the tremendous amount of time that's been spent by even outsiders to the township who have served on an interviewing board to narrow the candidate spectrum or choices. So we went through a very methodical process and professional process led by the police chief. All right, go ahead. Another person? Tell us who you are and write it down, please.
Good evening. My name is Lou Foresi, and I live in Fox Point subdivision. I have a question regarding Salem Springs. My understanding is that last year, the board allowed or gave approval for an engineering study And I'm curious if that engineering study has been conducted and what the results of that engineering study was. That's for the, putting the lines through the township.
Yes, the study has just started. So right, Salem Township is funding it. They have shared very little with us. Canton Township has the most impact because Canton Township wants to, if possible, tap into it to serve people who are on septic systems that are failing. The tentative route, which they haven't give details, is very little in Plymouth Township. It will be Ann Arbor Road, most likely on the north side, because on the Canton side, there are some large pipes that they don't want to interfere with. It's just be too much hassle. And it'll then move east on Beck Road and then south on Ridge.
Okay.
So they have shared some of the concept with Eagle, which is the regulatory agency in Lansing. But they have shared nothing with us yet or Canton. They're not ready. The company called Stantec is the engineering company. So my judgment is the timing. I'd expect them another 6 months of design work and then quoting and feasibility might be another year. It could be 2.5 to 3 years if they find the funding, which some people say is between 30 and 50 million. It's a lot of money.
Certainly is. Related to that, when the Salem Township lawyer was here, if I understood him correctly, the grant that the state gave to the developer, I understood him to say that that sunsetted next month. If they don't spend the money or have an approved plan, that money goes away. Can you
I remember hearing
that?
Well, I think there's about 15 million left of the 2 or 3 grants they received. So that's why they have to raise a lot. But I think they were trying to get an extension or did get one. But I don't know all of that. Kim, you're familiar with the state sometimes. I don't know if they have that avenue to extend it. But I'm pretty confident that if they didn't have that 15 million, Salem Township would not be expending the engineering money to fund the detailed feasibility and CAD work for locating the pipe in a route and in the ground. It's relatively complex tentatively because of the slope is not the greatest. It's pretty flat from here to Canton towards Michigan Avenue. So they may have to have 1 or 2 lift stations or pump stations, mainly pump stations, because typically water doesn't like to flow flat. It's got to have some grade. So that it'll be a mix of gravity and force main, which is a pump. Western Township Utilities uses a force main for 8 miles from Haggerty Road along Michigan Avenue to Ypsilanti at the Willow Run Willow Run Airport is where Yucca, Ypsilanti Community Utilities is located. So it's, you need electricity, not just gravity.
Thank you for the information.
Any other questions, comments? All right, the board. Start with.
Would like to speak after Trustee Groth.
All right.
I have in front of me a piece of paper that says General Ledger Activity Report for Charter Township of Plymouth. This is for from January 1st of 24 to December 31st of 24. And this is for a fund that is General Ledger 262, which is elections. And this General Ledger report shows that in the year 2024, a total of $10,325.46 were spent by our then clerk, Vorva, for food for election inspectors. And I want to point out that that included meals for early voters who work from 9 to 5 for 9 days prior to the election, and there were 2. It includes people who work at the polls on election day from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. And it also included other employees and citizens who happened to be around who could accept Lee's Chicken Dinners. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there is absolutely no place in the law, and I want to make this really clear because we have a new clerk, that provides taxpayer dollars to be spent on food for employees. Election workers are employees because they're subject to Social Security and FICA. All expenditures must be in accordance with law and in the absence of a policy to the contrary, which would say food is a part of your employment contract. These expenditures do not further a public purpose. According to MTA, Michigan Townships Association, township board members have a fiduciary responsibility. Our public is entitled to the best interest and the best judgment of all of our elected officials. We have no right to place ourselves in a position where our interests could be or would be against that of the public, and we are to engage in fair dealings and disinterested conduct for those we represent. We must act for the benefit of the public. Likewise, it must be said that employees of the township do not have the authority or right to spend any money for group meetings, interviews, or any other like purpose, such as coffee, donuts, bagels. And we, as a board, I feel, must establish a policy making this clear. We should not be reimbursing anyone for these expenses. And I am hereby requesting that we eliminate account 717, wages and food, from the election budget, and that we establish a policy that spells this out. It is not appropriate, and over $10,000 is ridiculous, and it needs to stop. And thank you, by the way, to all the candidates who were interested in serving as trustee. Thank you for reaching out and sharing yourselves and your visions and your ideas with us. And I hope that you will stay interested and start looking at some other appointments within the township. Now I'm done.
John?
I want to thank and support trustee Growth and all trustees here tonight. Susan Bondi, more than a 50-year resident of Plymouth Township, is in attendance, and she's a longtime friend of Sandy Growth. And Sandy has presented some, apparently, I had nothing to do with it, some hard evidence that had been discovered from the current clerk, Kim Gadeke, and this is presented in writing. Just to be a little bit lighter, I think you're foolish if you don't listen to the GBI. Now, we call it in my family, it's the Vanderbilt Bureau of Investigation. And we can just, you know, it's a bunch of Brenton Baker's intellects sitting around the Holland dinner table and a bunch of former superintendents, and they can just really cut somebody down. 3 points. 1, brief telephone conversation with township interim. I think we may be ready. Well, none of my business about the word interim, but John Clark has proven his professionalism to me. He is drafting, and there are current drafts for data centers and Airbnbs. I received the first one because of my telephone tenacity on Friday afternoon with the Michigan Township Association attorney, and I immediately forwarded it to John, and then it went, John Clark, and then it went public yesterday. Data centers and Airbnbs to be regulated. The attorneys are, and speaking of writing well, Ben Kronk writes really well. If we had an abundant budget, I would recommend that he He'd be an administrative assistant and in charge of written communications. And then he could be advised by the intellectual brilliance of Britton Baker. Point number 2, master plan can be amended. Sandy, maybe unknowingly, said the word supplemental. 2 months ago, the state legislature passed a framework of a state budget. It is continually amended and supplemented. Kim and I know from our legislative experience that we can change these things, and I wasn't afforded an opportunity when those who were here earlier, I wanted them to thank them for their work on the master plan and to know that it is an ongoing working budget. It is not something in concrete that Moses has brought down from Mount Zion. Finally, on a positive individual employee note, Tracy Rodriguez is our new ordinance officer. Tracy came into my office once and she saw a softball there. And I got her to admit to me she was an Arizona collegiate scholarship softball player, a graduate of Plymouth Canton. I'm very happy. I hope that our building department, Ken McDonald, and our chief will support Tracy, because Tracy knows how to call balls and strikes. And we're blessed to have her, and I want to thank all the employees. So let's, as the comments are floating, let's go onward and forward. And it appears like we may, yet to be proven, made a great choice for a new young trustee, half the age of the gentleman sitting to his left.
So we know how old you are now.
No Ikes, go ahead.
Yeah. First off, for residents that want to help and serve, there are so many opportunities, okay? I like to pick on my niece, Kristen Dennison. She's a mom, homeschools kids in Howell Township. She got involved to help the planning commission, and she bird dogged all the noise limits, best practices. So we are copying with pride. That info has been provided to the planning commission, right? So when we get our ordinance, we'll have protection for our minds, our bodies, on the decibel A scale, C scale, and Z scale. Okay, because they're all different, and there are bad things that occur with each. So you want to get involved? Contact, okay? Trustees, contact people on the zoning board, on the planning commission. They need help, okay? And that's the best way to roll up your sleeves. Secondly, with the playscape, right, deck details started to dismember the old ADA ramp that popped up because the previous guys that actually did the project 31 years ago didn't go below the frost line. So they're gonna do it right. It's all taped off with tape, right? And we have swings and bolts and fasteners that will start being installed later on this week. So that project is progressing, right? Better equipment is being used with bigger diameters, better bearing area and brackets, so we don't have this happening. So it's safe, it's contained. The center section is open with the exception of the ADA ramp, so people are free to play on it. The two swing set areas are taped off, right? When they're done, they will be opened, and that will occur shortly. So please be patient. We're close.
Bob, anything?
The only thing I wanted to warn people about was that if you mailed a payment to us, to our PO box on August, and it was postmarked on August 3rd, the odds are we never got it because the post office started sending them back to the return address or the sender, and with a sticker on it said that this address does not exist. And we got a lot of calls on that. So if you did send a bill in on August 3rd, call us or go online and make sure that it got posted because it probably got lost somewhere. Taxes are coming due.
That's Monday, September 14?
Yeah. And that's about it.
Kim?
So our team has been, what?
Elections.
Yeah, elections, yeah, so just wanted to echo what Lisa had said, which is to thank the community and for all of our election workers, my team, and the board. I mean, just have had a lot of support, and we were very successful, I think, in running the election in August. I would say it was boring, which was good. I'll take boring any day versus having a lot of issues to deal with on election day. So just really appreciate everybody being involved in the process. And then we are gearing up for the November 3rd election. We will once again have early voting here in this room from October 24th through November 1st. I really encourage our voters to take advantage of participating in early voting, especially if you're not able to vote on election day, again on November 3rd. And for those who are on the permanent absentee voter list, we will be mailing out ballots by September 19th. So watch for your ballots. And you can also bring your ballot into early voting if you want to run it through the tabulator. So that's another opportunity if you prefer to actually see your ballot go through the machine before the election day and versus mailing it back. I do encourage all voters, if you do vote by absentee, 14 days prior to the election, I would say drop off your ballot here at the drop box, at the clerk's office drop box, or the one on Port Street versus mailing it back, because the chances of it arriving before 8 or by 8 p.m. on election day is less likely to occur if you wait 14 days
Bob
out.
just pointed out.
Especially if the Supreme
Correct.
Court ends up.
Correct. So now, and then, yeah, Bob just mentioned the Supreme Court case that's out there. And right now, we are going to continue to follow the process of mailing out the ballots based on the Secretary of State's deadline until we get actual notice of that, you know, we are not allowed to do that. So the case is still pending, and so we're following that. But for right now, we're going to continue to proceed in accordance to what currently is the law. And unless the president's executive order does stand, then we'll certainly try to get communication out as quickly as we can, and we'll have to pivot. But until we're told that we cannot mail them out, we will continue to proceed.
Will you give us the background on this case for those of us that may not know what the executive order was about? And the Supreme Court ruled 2 days ago on this.
Correct. So the president issued an executive order, actually I think it was prior to the primary election, to basically force the U.S. Postal Service to not mail out absentee ballots.
Not deliver them.
Or not deliver them,
Not
excuse
deliver.
me. Not to deliver them.
Unless your name is on a list.
Correct. And so our Secretary of State has withheld that list and is continuing to withhold that list. And so essentially there was, you know, lawsuits filed, which then helped, you know, basically prevented the executive order from being implemented fully. And then the Supreme Court recently ruled, and I haven't actually read the whole ruling, but I think there's some issues with standing with the executive order. But I think there's also, I think they may have, I don't know.
It was perceived as a win by the president.
Correct.
So there may be
because-
some big confusion in a couple weeks.
Correct, because I think the Supreme Court, I don't know if they said, and I don't want to speculate, so I have to read it, so I don't know all the details, but we are going to review the recent decision, but I've talked to some other clerks about it, and until everything is final and resolved, we're going to continue to move forward.
What is the list that they're talking about?
They're talking about the voter list, and it has something to do with verifying.
No, there's a
that
list. What the executive order said was that Department of Homeland Security would provide a list of all the citizens in the US, and you have to be on that list in order for them to deliver your ballot. So the post office would have to sit there. Okay, is Dwayne Zantop a resident? Yeah, we'll deliver his ballot. Or a citizen, and it is absolutely absurd and not possible to do. But hopefully the Supreme Court will do the right thing and kick that thing out.
All right, so, okay, I know a little bit of the background then. So there will be some potential implications or here in Plymouth Township.
Across the
So,
state.
yeah, so, okay. For me, the playscape the wood playscape that we've decided to refurbish, we have a $75,000 grant, not a grant. We're sharing some of the millage that we send to the county comes back to us, and it's being used to refurbish this 1995 resident-built facility that to tear down and duplicate would cost nearly $1 million. So, and the recommendation from many people, the so-called experts, said tear it down. But I didn't believe that, and we're going forward. It's been ruled to be very sound structurally, and we're going to rebuild it, especially since it's so loved by a couple generations of youth. And Bill Ikes and our two park employees, Mike, and I don't know his last name, he's a relatively new person. He's wonderful and very, very skilled, and he has moved it along very quickly. The Ann Arbor Road, one lane closed under the CSX Railroad will be closed until October 15th. They have run into trouble with finding, there was two structures that were not on the drawing that were buried for years. There were drains, and luckily they cleaned them out, and it may improve the situation where there's constant standing water in that lane. They were filled with essentially dirt. So anyway, we're working on that. I'm disappointed. I expected it to be done by originally September 1st. That was the promise date, but in construction, there's almost no such thing as the word promise. The sidewalk in number 5 section, which is the far west end of the township, our desire is to have it completed by September 15th. That will be the earliest ever if it happens. Then it will give the opportunity for the treasurer to invoice in time to allow 30 days to pay before it goes on the tax roll. I prefer that it not go on the tax roll because it's essentially an interest-free loan that the township is giving to anyone who's having sidewalk repairs done, and there's carrying costs associated with that. And we may move away from interest-free when we start back over in section 1 next year. The program is a real challenge to get quality work done on time. So a lot of residents get very frustrated, and we have empathy, but we're doing everything we can to make it smooth, but it's not going to be perfection because the people involved in flat work are not what you call the top tier construction companies. Flat work is considered simple business. The legal services RFP is out on BidNet. 35 law firms or individuals have downloaded it, and we were working on, over the next 2 months, selecting a list of law firms to negotiate with and potentially engage.
Can you send us a copy of that?
Yeah, we'll do that. Sheila Acker will get that.
Yeah, thank you.
In fact, we'll want a subcommittee of this board to be involved in the selection process, and we'll talk about who that is, so we get some names. We can't have more than 3, of course. We're in the budget planning process. The budget is a big squeeze to try to not spend more than we bring in. So it's big work, and we'll do a lot of work on that in the next few months. Remember that Our next board meeting is Thursday, September 10th, Thursday, not Tuesday. And we did that so that our employees and others do not have, and our consultants do not have to scramble on the day after Labor Day to get things together. It, I think, will provide a more smooth and well thought out. We're going to try. We've never done that, but we're going to try Thursday. So keep that in mind. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this process. We're gradually trying to build a team of people who can add high value to the township. You know, people here don't get paid a lot of money to do this. Most of it is essentially donated, especially commissions and things like that. And it's testimony that people who live in this community have a vast talent of skilled trades, highly degreed people, scientists, engineers. So we want to tap into those people. So thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, third, fourth, let's go.
You to vote? You got to have a vote.
We finished, Chuck? I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you got to do a voice vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's adjourn at what time?
Adjourned at, got to do the, adjourned at 8:40 PM.